Hello, my name is Zhatelier, and welcome back for another episode, or episode number 2 of the Supreme Ruler Ultimate Basics tutorial. And last episode we went through the basics of the UI, so now we are going to delve into the diplomacy and intelligence. So first of all, the diplomacy is done usually through the state tab here, and domestically you can do things. There's a minister that you can basically make do certain things automatically, like trade relations, acquire technologies, intelligence. You can set up custom focuses like acquire technologies, influence, intelligence, isolationism, military alliances, trade focus, military units, and trade relations. So those are like automating this stuff. There's a lot of ways to automate a lot of the diplomacy and trade and such, and production and such. The economy will be next episode. We're gonna delve into that in more detail. Then there's espionage. You can see the current missions. We don't have any missions because we don't actually have intelligence headquarters. We got a security bureau which tries to get rid of enemy spies, but it doesn't actually produce us any spies for us to use. So to look into the espionage stuff, we're going to have to jump into Germany in a little bit, but first we're going to go through the diplomacy. Then there's of course the diplomatic relations. You can see that we don't actually have any allies. We got one enemy, which is Ethiopia. We got 4 colonies. Then we got no exiled nations. Oh right, yeah, you can actually see these are mostly filters for these different other 3 categories. So you can show colonies. For example, if you're fighting Great Britain and they have a lot of colonies, then you can just filter those out, so you don't need to scroll through all the list of colonies to see who you're fighting. And then there's the faculty controls. You can build Intelligence Academy or Security Bureau, and you can see the price and time it takes to build it. As well as if you hover over, you can see all the details on how much it will cost in terms of industrial goods and maintenance per year and so forth. But we're not going to build those right now. Now, as you go through the diplomatic options, there's the negotiate with select region, then there's the influence relations, where you can support ruling party or support opposition, and to try to lower the domestic approval or grow the domestic approval rating that they have is basically what it has an effect on. Then you can also accept balanced or better community and money offers. Then you can ignore economic offers. For example, if someone is constantly offering you trade offers that you can't really be asked to, go through, you can just ignore them. Then you can ignore military unit offers from the region, and we actually don't have any treaties with France, which is a bit odd. Usually you'd have embassy at least. For example, with Germany we do have free trade and embassy, but on the other hand we are dictatorship, and France is democracy. So that might have something to do with it. And then there's the fund insurgency. If you want to cause more troubles for them, and also it will give you casus belli. Same with the support opposition. You can get casus belli, which we will touch in just a little bit. So there's low and high, and then you can provide with modern equipment. Then you can have your troops path around something. For example, if you don't want to fly over someone's area, you can path around it. And of course, it will increase the distance for the planes and such. But at the same time, you won't be able to do too much, or it will not harm your relations. And war on incursions means that you will declare a war on them if they, for example, fly over your area. or your region. Then over here there's severe actions. You can see how the nation feels diplomatically about you and how you feel diplomatically. Then you can see how the people feel. So that's basically the government, and the second one is the people, and the third one is casus belli, or war justification. And neither one of us has any war justification right now. To get the war justification, basically what you want to do is support opposition and maybe fund incursions. Of course, incursions are rather expensive, but the opposition, you can get up to 70% casus belli, and then of course if they declare war on someone, then you will gain some war justification against them and so forth. And if they declare war on an ally of yours, then you'll get a much higher boost, and the lower or the higher the war justification is, the lower penalties you will incur when you declare war. And then if you go through the negotiate with selected region, this is basically the diplomacy screen. So first of all, there's the existing agreements listed over here on the first tab, and then treaty list. It shows what all things that you can do: air transit, criminal extradition, embassy, formal alliance, free flow of labor force, free trade, full transit treaty, land transit and supply. But basically, full transit treaty covers both the land transit and supply, air transit and sea transit. And then there's the line of sight treaty, which well, it's pretty self-explanatory. You'll see what they see. Then there's the missile defense, mutual defense, non-aggression pact, and then of course sea transit and supply. And some of these are more along the way that they improve the relations, but they don't really have much effect other than that. For example, the criminal extradition is one of those things that it doesn't really do much other than improve the relations a tiny bit. But at the same time, stuff like free trade and free flow of labor force will actually have an effect on your economies. It will kind of even out the difference. Then there's resources. You can trade money, food, rubber or agriculture, rubber, timber, petroleum. Basically all the resources that are in the game you can trade each other. For example, if you don't produce any oil yourself, then you can buy oil from someone, and you can have it just once. You can have it for 7 days, basically the daily sum of something for 7 days, or 30 days, 60 or 90. Those are basically the options for the time. Then you just select the amount that you want, and what you can do is, for example, if you want to sell food for the French, we're going to add that into the offer. And then what we can do is equalize rate value, best offer, or we can select something else here. For example, we want rubber for this, and mostly they would not accept that. But if we do equalize trade value, it makes sure that it's the same amount of money offered. Or we can do the best offer. If we clear the offer, best offer. They would actually not offer anything. Okay, well, we can equalize the trade at least. Sometimes the best offer are more used in, for example, when you're trying to buy or sell technologies, which we will be touching next. So you can see the list of technologies that you have researched that they haven't and are tradable. Some of the technologies are not tradable, so you can't trade them, obviously. But you can go through the list. For example, electronic image broadcasting. Sure, we might want that. And maybe we'd give 2 technologies that we have, but they still would not accept that. However, what we can do... Well, actually, let's clear the offer. So if we go through, get that, and best offer, now it works. We would have to pay a bit more than the 400 million that research is worth, but we would be able to buy some of the technologies from them, so we don't have to research everything ourselves, because researching can take a lot of money and time. Then you can trade unit designs, which can be useful, especially if you don't have access to some stuff. For example, in the El Salvador game that I did, the World Conquest one, El Salvador doesn't really have access to anything else than the worldwide stuff. Because the unit designs have, they can be either region locked, for example, that the nations that start in certain area can get it, or only certain nations can get them, or then they're worldwide. And El Salvador only has the worldwide unit, so sometimes trading the unit designs would have been useful. But you can see different unit types that you have research or available for production, and you can see what they have available. And this is also a good way to kind of see what types of units the enemy might be having. So looking into here every now and then might not be a bad idea, even with your enemies. And then there's first there's the army, then there's air force, there's navy, and then there's missiles. And since it's only 1936, no one really has missiles. Then there's the military units and missiles. And basically what you can do is you can sell units, or the enemy can offer to sell you some units, but you can only sell units that are in reserve. Basically they are in barracks sitting there. We'll go through that later on. But you can, for example, select some old units that you don't use anymore and try to sell to someone that is currently fighting a war against someone much bigger. They're most likely going to accept, especially if you offer a decent price for them. Or if you want to support an ally of yours, or puppet of yours or something, you can just offer them for free. For example, if we clear that, if we select none, that means that we will not be requesting anything. And then there's supply unit location. It's actually something that I wasn't aware. And then there's the similar controls that were in the other screen or other tab there, to auto accept or ignore stuff. And offer expiration, you can make it last for 30 days. For example, in multiplayer, if you're offering to some other player, then having the offer stay for longer is probably a good idea. Now, did I miss anything here? I mean, then once you have the stuff selected, you'll just press this and it will offer the stuff. But now that we've done this, let's actually make an offer for the... Actually, we don't have that much money, do we? So we'll have that. There's still one for... Oh, crap. Okay, maybe we don't take that one then. Not from France anyway. I mean, I suppose what we could do is try to buy some technology from Germany, because I'm pretty sure that they will offer a better price. For example, now we'd get... The price depends on how good your relations with the nation is. So we got cordial relations with Germany, and that means that they are willing to sell us stuff for a bit cheaper than what they're actually worth. So we can send an offer. We don't have much money, mind you, but we should have enough for this. So we can offer that, and they will accept once we unpause and let the time run a little bit. But that's basically the diplomacy portion. Of course, if you right click over here on another country, you get the similar options. There's the declare war. Actually, we didn't touch that. How to declare war is first of all you need to click that once, and then you need to click again just to confirm it, so that you don't accidentally declare war. And then you can support wars by this region, no opinion, or condemn wars by this region. For example, what we might want to do is support wars by Germany, to make sure that we're friendly with them. And since we had a third-party opinion changes, it means that if we are supporting, for example, Germany when they declare war, the people that are condemning Germany will also, to some degree, not as much, but to some degree it will hurt our relations with the ones that condemn the war. So it will complicate things a little bit, but I think we'll survive. But yes, that's the diplomacy part. For the most part, I mean, it's just a very surface look into how the things work. There's a lot of things that you can experiment there, but right now we're going to do a bit of a jump cut. We're going to jump into Germany, on not this same save though, but just to have a look at the intelligence, because right now, since we only have the security bureau, we won't be able to send spies, and we can't actually show how it's done and what the different operations do. So we'll be right back. And we're back. Right, so we'll just jump into the same scenario but as Germany, and we save the Italy stuff so that we can return there quickly. But basically the intelligence stuff you will see over here. We can see that we currently have a spy in Berlin doing counter intel. Then assign spies to map for mission. We can select a mission, for example recon over here. It's well, it's recon. You will see the map area around the placement, and the spies, wherever they are, the more that there's enemy movement, the more likely they are going to get caught. So sending them right where you expect to be a lot of enemies or enemy traffic might not be the best. For example, somewhere like there or near Paris might not be the best place to send a spy, because they will get spotted most likely rather quickly. But spotting something like around here, for example, that keep an eye on the traffic of troops going back and forth to the Italian border might be okay. Or maybe you can find out a good place to land troops, for example. So the recon spies are useful, but they are a bit vulnerable in terms of if there's a lot of traffic, then they will get spotted and you'll lose those spies. And of course they do have a maintenance cost, and they will only stay for a certain amount of time there, if I remember correctly. But that's the recon mission. It's basically just recon. Then espionage is stealing unit and or technologies, and unit designs to be exact. And those you will want to send into research labs, or what they call land production buildings and such. For land production, for example, if we were to send espionage spy over here, we might be able to get control of some of their unit designs, the land units. That is, if we send it to naval production, we might get some of the naval unit designs and so forth. So, but again, if there's a lot of traffic going back and forth there, then you might get spotted and you will fail if you get spotted, which is less than ideal. But for example, if there's a research lab that is a bit further away from everything, hold on, I saw there's a research lab around here, and the land production, so that might not be a bad place to have a spy near Lyon. But since, well, actually I suppose we could do that. Espionage, just to show how it works. So we'll have it there, and then the sabotage is, again, quite self-explanatory. It will damage the buildings there if it succeeds. If it fails, then it will fail, as you would expect. Now, to show quickly how the spy will work, we'll just let the time run a little bit. We got everything on AI control right now. We'll actually touch a little bit further. Now, the spy has arrived there, and it might... sure, we'll just let the AI construct units. We'll touch that on episode 5. We're not going to go through all the messages right now, just going to figure out if we can manage to steal something or not. But that's basically, you wait for a while, and then if it doesn't get spotted, it will most likely succeed. If it gets spotted, it will fail. And of course, to increase your chances, you can increase the military spending, I believe. Or was it in espionage spending, I believe. Or I would assume. And as you can see, it will show some of the area around here. We don't see any troop movements. Actually, we do see special forces / mountain. So it will kind of act as a recon as well. But of course, if we have a look at the espionage, we can see that a recon costs 27 million, espionage costs 675 million, and the sabotage got 540 million, so there's recon spies are a lot cheaper, and there we go. And we're back. So, I just had to skip the in-between. This was, it took a while, but one of the spy that we sent to get tech knowledge has failed. There was too much traffic there and such, so one of our spies was unsuccessful in their recent mission to France, but they managed to escape and return home. So you didn't actually lose the spies, which is good. But that's basically what happens. Of course, one thing that I did not show in the start of this episode is whenever there's a message, actually if we just let that run for a little bit, there might be more, but it's basically when there's a message, you will, for example, someone declares a war, you can then select the message and support, condemned, or just neutral response to that. For example, if you didn't put that, you want to support the wars, or if you just want to support someone's war against someone certain, because, for example, there's some help messages there. And Japan decided to declare war on Soviet Union, but that's this is not the let's play portion of it yet, and you can actually see the weather going in there. That has an effect on many things, but that's not part of the. For example, here you can support or condemn. We're going to, for example, support the Chinese. But anyway, that's the espionage is somewhat simple. You just send the spies in there, and then you wait and hope that the mission is successful. At least you can see the recon through those units, so that's good. And the enemy won't be able to see your spies until they spot them. And once they spot them, they will most likely kill them. But anyway, that's this episode. Next episode we'll be touching more on the economy and production and building of things and such. So that's going to be a long episode. But other than that, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.